Well, hi there. As I mentioned before, I was at the World of Commodore in Toronto, and I did get some stuff off the deal table, including a bunch of discs. Some of them, of course, would be, IBM disk stuff I really don't need, but discs are always good. But I did find, let me see here, the TPUG Commodore 64 disk. Oh, I'm going west. From 1984, October 1984. As it happens, I'm quite familiar with this disc because I was the one who put it together. And on it, I found a program called Jukebox. I also found there were some what looked like music files for a number of songs, as well as a number of things. Anyway, what I did is, way back when, which I hadn't forgotten about, but it had, it's been a while. There was these music things came in and they took advantage of the SID chip and they were kind of cool. And it came with some sort of a jukebox program to let you play them, but it had a lot of issues. Like it thought any file on the disk was a music file, so it was not. It even thought the program that was the jukebox was a music file. So anyway, it returned it to me. So I went in, and it seems on October the 3rd, 1984, I fixed the program. Which, looking back, maybe that was maybe I should have just said modified or mods by or whatever. And actually, I forgot all about this. I did put an ad for the bulletin board I was involved with, which was called the Bradley Brothers BBS, and it gave the numbers, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, so what the program does now is when you put a disk in, it goes out and it looks at all the files and decides which ones are indeed music. And on this disk, by chance, there are 5 music songs. So I am going to, I'm just going to do A, B, C, D, E. In other words, I'll pick them. It's funny, I would have thought, there is an option. Oh, look at that. Oh well, anyway, Z. It brings up all the titles and you pick the right letter that you want. And I was thinking, boy, I should have put something in to just let you play them all. And look at that, I did. I just didn't find it. Anyway, after getting to the point of you picked what you want, you press the space bar. Now I'm not going to tell you what's going to play, but remember the times. 1984. Good golly. I was like 19. Can you imagine? Anyway, most of the things that are on this are fairly, then they would have been like kind of new and, now they're like classic. Anyway, I'm going to hit the space bar and the first song is going to play. And I'll see how the volume is. Okay. Meanwhile, of course, over here, I'm continuing to check out discs to see what's what, which is how I found I suspect this song needs no introduction. Do you recognize the tune? I'll just turn it down a bit so you can hear me. Anyway, so this is one of the 5, which would have been contemporary songs. I don't remember what movie, what year and month, etc. the Ghostbusters came out. But I guess it's been more than 30 years. Can you imagine? Anyway, there are other songs on this. They will come up. Meanwhile, of course, I continue to check over discs. It's surprising, they always say these discs will not last forever. They won't last forever. And it's true. Not all of them will last forever. But I've had very few failures. I've had some that didn't want to back up. And then if I tried them again, they back up. Sometimes I have to format another disk and then do a copy command, which copies each individual file rather than just doing a track and sector copy. And sometimes that works. But out of all the ones I've been checking, I think there's only 3 that I've not been able to convince to be happy, which is not bad considering. This is the stack I've been working on, which, I don't know, there's maybe 25 or 30 discs there. So, and it's funny, I have found a few other things that I forgot that I had done many years ago, because you see, back when I was in charge of the library of the TPUG organization, or the 64 library, I don't know how many discs I turned out. But there were a lot. I remember once we were coming up on the World of Commodore Show, and the president of at the time apparently said to somebody he was upset that I hadn't done a show disc. Which was true. I didn't do one called the special World of Commodore Show disc. But I think, oh, here comes a new song. But if I'm not mistaken, I probably had produced, leading up to the show, getting ready for the show to make available at the show, somewhere between 30 and 40 new discs of material that had come in or somehow we had come upon. So no, I didn't do one show disc. An important lesson about the way some people are, and that is that the reality of the situation is insignificant. It's their perception of the reality, even if their perception is completely wrong. I'm sure, God rest his soul, the fellow was all upset that there wasn't a show disc. Mind you, I had never been directed to make a show disc. And I'm sure the club benefited tremendously from the copying and sales of the between 30 and 40 new discs of material at the show. And I suppose I could have come out with one show disc with the absolute best of everything that was on those 40 discs. I hear the 4040 complaining in the distance. But, let's try that again. Had I done that, and not done the other 39 discs, it would not have helped the club, and, it would not have helped the club as much, and also, see, I put much effort into making sure that the discs had what we came up with as list me files, catalog data. What this is. Anyway, so the list me files. I remember there was a lady I met years later. Well, maybe not so many later. Back up, who she was really lost when it came to her Commodore 64, and somehow she got a hold of some TPUG disks, and it was the list me files and their descriptions and their instructions, etc., that really opened the door, turned on the light bulb, and got her where she could, say, hey, I can do this. So, yeah. But of course, he was right. There was no show disc. Now, this is interesting. I seem to have another disc that is causing data disc. Just call it data disc. So that was the theme from Rocky 3. Let's see what will come up next. What could it possibly be? I know what it is. It's on the screen here. Nope, I don't have them here. Well, I think I might have run into another disc with issues. So be it. Yes. When I was growing up, not that I was a dancer, but I remember this was the last song at every dance. It was slow so that the couples could linger for those last moments, probably before having to go out and be picked up by their parents. And it was a long song as well. And this disc does not want to copy. So, I'm going to open 15, 8, 15, quote. I'm going to reformat. Did you know that if you press Shift Clear Home and when you're in the middle of typing a line, guess what? It goes away! I'm going to just double check my blank disk. I suspect it is fine. By the way, this is the 2040 upgraded to a 4040, I suspect, that I got over the weekend. It works very well. Bad news on this 8032 here. I thought there were some issues, and now it's got to the point where if I go to turn it on now, it makes the noise, but not immediately does anything happen on the screen. This is very much, not even a little dot. This is kind of like the fellow Steve Gray out at the World of Commodore that was having issues. But now it's been on maybe for 30 seconds. If I shut it off and turn it back on, the screen does a flash down the bottom and then it comes up. What's that mean? I just don't know. Well, anyway, this, my test disk worked just fine. This disk has some sort of data, which, you know, so be it, it does. But I think it is one of those that I'm going to try and format to see if it's working, or if it will format. And remember to massage. And if it formats, great, and if it doesn't format, then I think it's dead. But it's worth a try. So, I know you can't see much of the screen. There really isn't anything wonderful to see. There's no, like, graphics of stairways and clouds and anything. It's really, it's just a program. It's called the Best CVM 50 Song Jukebox. And it was originally done by someone named Robert Shaw, modified by Captain Hook, who I think was David Hook, who was the original Commodore, the TPUG librarian, and then, did that do that already? Oh. Okay, so we're formatted. We work. This one, I'm adding, if I do come upon something that has nothing, or I format, I'm putting aside as a work disk. I'm also trying to set aside disks that well, a lot of disks are pretty ugly. Look, here is a BASF disk, and it's beautiful. And I have formatted it. There's no writing on it at all. And what's the other? I have, Dyson. Anyway, these are now work disks, and they are with such memorable disks as the 1541 test demo disc, and the, what was it? I had a disc that had, things to test the 1351 mouse with. So, what do we have here? This, I think, proclaims that it is a disc from the Compute Gazette. Oh, here comes the big finish. Yes. Compute, well, it's Gazette November 86. So, we're going to see if it's okay. And just like that, Stairway to Heaven comes to an end. There are, if I'm not mistaken, 2 more songs to come. And they are definitely, I would say, contemporary of the time, classic now, and quite devastatingly, the genius behind these songs is no longer with us, as you shall soon be aware of what they are. So, we are backing up. At least we are trying to back up. I'm suspecting I'm going to end up with, yes, it's Michael Jackson and Beat It. I'm suspecting when I'm all done with all these disk things, and by the way, I've got other disks from various places and probably other years at the World of Commodore that I still haven't even looked at. But I suspect I'm going to end up with a bunch that are of no use to me. I'm sure there's some IBM disks and who knows what else. So some, if they really look interesting enough, I will not just turn them into blank disks. Uh-oh. Did I hear something bad here? Oh, we have an error. Read error. Oh no. Yes, we did not copy. Alright. I do not remember any mention ever of the Gazette disks having any sort of copy protection. So I don't think they did. But remember, these disks are now, well, assuming this was copied in 1986, and it may have been after, but it's more than 30 years old, and we were all told disks will not last. They won't last. But, you know, they seem to have. Oh, here's another. I have no clue what's on this. I think I may start actually setting aside some of these that are crisp and clean and new and have their special jackets look Kodak. The company that didn't really think this digital camera thing was going to come to much of anything. So, and the beat goes on. So I am going to, oh, I've got this pet still on, but I'm not sure why. Oh, I was really hoping that this would be the potential donor machine for me to try out a board from, yes, a Super Pet. But when it's doing that intermittent stuff, I'm not so sure. But don't worry, I have others. So, we are backing up and, oh dear, I hear that chatter. Oh dear. Okay, we have an error. Anyway, the last song is coming up. Read error. So this is when this disc is not all that full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to format the, oh my, the copy disc. So I'm going to format the copy disk, the blank disk, and I'm going to call it the same as what the original disk is. So basically I'm going to do open 15, 8, 15, quote, N0, colon, Gazette, November 86, AK, quote, close 15, and then I'm going to say copy D1 to Z0. And I know that the blank disk is good, so it will format, and then it will try to copy each individual file. And assuming there are no errors within the parts of the disk that have the files, it will copy them all and everything will be fine. But if there is a trouble with a certain file, it will also stop copying that and I'll know what the trouble is. So, been, some people may say this sounds pretty terrible. I'm sure I could, if I was so enchanted at some point, and probably I will, find an external sort of sound system with better speakers than what's in the top of this 1701 monitor to get the bestest sound. But it's been a long time since I've heard SID music. And I still like it. I do. So, yes, this is going to play, this is going to copy, and I do have to get back on the horse. Oh dear. Things are happening. Okay, we have an error. And by this, aha, okay. So definitely there is an error on this Gazette disc within the, oh, it's a double-sided disc. Oh. But anyway, there is an error, and it is within where the programs reside. Oh, look. And on the back side, is the December Gazette disc from 1986. So, funny. I wonder if it has a read error on one side, will it have a read error on the other side? I don't know. I don't know. But I will continue to check. So, what I really need to do is, as I was saying, get back on the horse and keep going at these SX64s. Billie Jean is coming to an end. I forget what this does when you get to the end. Oh. If I hit the asterisk key, it will repeat. But I don't... Oh, there, okay. I hit the space bar and we're back to the menu. So, do I want to play them again? Well, that's a fine question. I was thinking that maybe amongst these discs, and it wasn't very long ago, I might have seen some more and different songs. I might have. What was this? TPUG October 84. Maybe not. Maybe I did not. So what was this disc? No, maybe not. I should have set it aside if I thought I saw some anyway, but I did not. I didn't. Oh. So here's an interesting phenomenon. We have a disc. It copies on one side, but not the other. Well, I'm going to... I'm going to put it upside down in the envelope and put it with the good discs, which will tell me later that the back side is good. Perhaps not the other. Alright, so I think this is another. Oh. Oh, okay, that's the backup. Ooh, we have Gazette, July, I think 87, I think maybe it said. So we'll send another backup command, and I'm going to try the Z option. And in a moment, I think they go in order from A, in this case, to E. Ghostbusters will come back. Yes. Oh yeah. We be jamming. So I normally wouldn't do this, but you know, the music is playing, so I think I'm just going to be quiet and tinker away here. And in this case, undo some cables. But I think I'll just leave you to enjoy the glories of Ghostbusters, courtesy of the SID chip. And so, oh, it's playing again. No, it's not. It's going to Rocky. I think I'm going to stop things for the moment and carry on with my tinkering and I think I'm going to sneeze. So, until we meet again, bye for now.